One single moment can flip the energy of an entire arena. And that's exactly what happened when Sophie Cunningham went charging into the paint and Bria Hartley came diving across the floor in a way that had fans jumping out of their seats. At first glance, it looked like just another aggressive play, something you'd expect in a league built on intensity. But slow it down for even a second, and suddenly, the entire narrative changes. Was this just hustle or something way more dangerous? Within seconds, the clip spread like wildfire across social media. Fans weren't just debating the foul, they were dissecting Hartley's smirk, the timing, the intent. And that's when the story stopped being about a single play. It became a lightning rod for something bigger: player safety, league credibility, and whether the WNBA has a real accountability problem on its hands. This wasn't just basketball anymore, it was a cultural flashpoint. And once you dive into the details, you'll see why this single collision became one of the most controversial moments of the season.
To really understand why this play went viral, let's rewind to the moment itself. Sophie Cunningham, known for her fiery competitiveness and fearless drives to the basket, was cutting hard when Hartley launched forward, sliding across the floor. It was the kind of dive that splits crowds in seconds. Some saw determination, others saw reckless intent. And the contact wasn't soft. Sophie went down hard, and for a split second, the air in the arena felt heavy. What made it worse was how it looked in slow motion. Hartley's momentum wasn't just about stopping the ball, it was about crashing into Sophie's path. Fans immediately picked up on the body angle, the timing, and then that infamous expression afterward. This wasn't just a foul to many people watching, it looked personal. And here's the key. In basketball, moments like these are judged as much by perception as by rulebook definitions. It didn't matter whether the officials classified it one way or another. What mattered was how fans felt watching it, and the majority felt like Hartley had crossed a line. That feeling is what lit the fuse for everything that came next.
Once the clip hit social media, it took less than an hour for Hartley's name to trend. Fans weren't just calling it a dirty play. They were framing Hartley as the new villain of the WNBA. And the fuel wasn't just the collision itself, it was what came right after, the smirk. Cameras caught her grinning after Sophie hit the floor, and that image became the screenshot that launched 1,000 debates. To some, it was confidence. To others, it was proof of intent. The outrage only grew as people compared this play to past controversies. Tweets labeled Hartley as reckless, heartless, and even a disgrace to the game. It wasn't just fans of Sophie piling on, even neutral viewers felt the play had crossed into dangerous territory. And when athletes get branded as villains, the internet doesn't let go easily. Memes started circulating, edits showed Hartley's grin alongside headlines like "full villain mode." And suddenly, this wasn't just a foul, it was a storyline. A narrative was forming, and Hartley was the face of it. The WNBA didn't just have a bad foul on its hands, it had a PR wildfire.
And here's where things went from controversial to downright suspicious. You'd expect a foul like this, especially with so much online backlash, to get some kind of breakdown from the commentators or even a league statement. But what did fans get? Silence. The broadcast cut away quickly, avoiding replays or analysis. The league didn't release a strong statement. Even the commentators seemed hesitant, as if they'd been told not to touch the subject. That silence spoke volumes. To frustrated fans, it felt like the WNBA was sweeping a dangerous incident under the rug. And when people feel like they're not being given answers, their theories start multiplying. Was this favoritism? Was the league trying to protect Hartley? Or was it simply afraid of stoking an even bigger controversy? Whatever the reason, that lack of response only intensified the backlash. Fans felt ignored, and the conversation grew louder. Instead of putting out the fire, the silence became gasoline. And in the world of sports, sometimes the way a league handles an incident matters even more than the incident itself. Here, it set the stage for an even deeper storm.
When you zoom out, this moment didn't come out of nowhere.
Bria Hartley has built a reputation over the years as a player who isn't afraid to push limits. She's physical, she's fiery, and she thrives on intensity. But here's the thing. Those same traits that make her a competitor are exactly what fans use to paint her as a villain. One aggressive play in the past is brushed off as passion. 2, maybe 3, that's just your style. But when it starts to feel like a pattern, the narrative shifts. This isn't the first time Hartley has been accused of going over the line. Old clips resurfaced after the Cunningham collision, showing moments where she clashed with other players. Some fans went digging, pulling receipts from years back and piecing together what they claimed was a history of dirty plays. Whether that's entirely fair or not doesn't even matter anymore. Once the internet finds a storyline, it spreads like wildfire. And it's not just opponents who notice. Players around the league know Hartley's reputation, and that's where things get tricky. In a league fighting for mainstream attention, the last thing it needs is one of its stars being defined not by highlight reels, but by highlight controversies. That's why this single play felt so explosive, because for many fans, it wasn't an isolated moment. It was confirmation of something they'd been whispering about all along.
But here's where things took an even sharper turn. Sophie Cunningham's family. After the incident, her sister didn't stay quiet. She fired off a post that instantly went viral, calling out the play as reckless and making it crystal clear that the family wasn't buying the just basketball defense. And in today's sports culture, family voices carry weight. Fans may debate endlessly, but when blood relatives speak, it hits differently. The post lit up timelines with thousands of fans rallying behind Sophie. Some reposted the message, saying it proved what they already felt. Others argued the family was overreacting. But either way, it fueled the fire. Suddenly, this wasn't just about what happened on the court, it was personal. That family reaction also forced the league into a corner. Because when emotions spill out online from people directly connected to the player, ignoring it isn't an option. It becomes part of the story, whether the league wants it or not. And for Sophie, it gave fans a sense of just how hard the moment hit, both literally and emotionally. At the same time, Hartley's silence stood out even more. No public apology, no clarification, just nothing. That imbalance, one side speaking out, the other side quiet, only widened the divide. Fans weren't just watching basketball anymore, they were watching a drama unfold in real time, with families now part of the script. By now, it was obvious. This wasn't about one foul, one smile, or even one rivalry. The Cunningham-Hartley collision had cracked open a bigger conversation about the WNBA itself. Fans started asking the tough questions. Does the league protect its players enough? Are referees consistent with calls? And more importantly, does the WNBA downplay incidents that could actually harm its credibility? The timing couldn't have been worse, or maybe better depending on who you ask. The WNBA is in the middle of its biggest growth spurt ever, drawing record viewership, ticket sales, and sponsorships. But with that spotlight comes scrutiny. Every play, every moment, every controversy now has magnified importance. And for critics, this was proof that the league still struggles with transparency. Think about it. If the NBA had a play like this, it would have been broken down frame by frame on multiple talk shows, with clear statements from referees and maybe even league-issued suspensions. The WNBA's silence looked amateurish in comparison. Fans who want the league to succeed were frustrated, not because of the foul itself, but because of how it was handled. In that sense, this wasn't about Cunningham versus Hartley anymore. It was about the WNBA's future. If it wants to be taken seriously on the same stage as other leagues, it can't afford to treat moments like this as just another foul. Because, in the era of social media, every incident is bigger than one game. If there's one thing we know about modern sports, it's this. The internet never forgets, and it definitely never forgives quickly. After the Cunningham-Hartley clash, the online reaction exploded. Clips of the play hit Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram within minutes, each one edited with slow-motion zoom-ins, captions like "dirty or not,"
and music designed to stir emotion. Fans weren't just replaying the incident, they were debating it like it was a Supreme Court case. Some creators framed Hartley as the villain, dropping side-by-side montages of her past plays to argue that this was part of a pattern. Others defended her, saying the smile was being taken out of context, that it was just adrenaline, or even that it was a misunderstood coping mechanism. Either way, the debate became entertainment in itself, pulling in fans who don't even usually follow the WNBA. And here's where it gets even wilder. Hashtags connected to the incident trended for days, bringing in mainstream sports pages, gossip outlets, and casual fans who had never seen a WNBA game before. What started as a collision turned into viral fuel, introducing millions of new eyeballs to the league, though not necessarily for the reasons the league would want. But the longer the debate dragged on, the clearer it became. This wasn't dying down anytime soon. In fact, the silence from the official WNBA channels only added oxygen to the fire. Which brings us to the next point. One of the most baffling parts of this entire saga was how little came out officially. Fans waited for a statement from the referees. They waited for a breakdown from the league office. They waited for analysts to step in and explain why the foul was called or wasn't escalated. But that moment never came. Instead, it was crickets. And when you leave a vacuum in the media, the internet fills it with speculation, rumors, and heated takes. Some reports claimed the league was trying to protect its image, avoiding anything that might paint the WNBA as unsafe or poorly officiated. Others suggested it was simply a case of under-resourced PR, with the league not having the infrastructure to handle viral controversy the way bigger leagues do. Either way, the silence was louder than any statement could have been. Fans took it as proof that the WNBA wasn't ready for prime time, that while the talent on the court is elite, the handling of controversy lags far behind. And in today's sports world, perception is everything. If fans feel like they're being ignored, they won't just complain, they'll leave. The sad part? That silence left players like Cunningham and Hartley carrying the weight of the story themselves, while the league missed a golden opportunity to step in, clarify, and control the narrative. And that lack of control leads us right into the last and maybe most important piece of this puzzle.
At the end of the day, the Cunningham-Hartley incident wasn't just about one play or even one rivalry. It was a test for the players, for the fans, and for the WNBA itself. Sophie Cunningham will move forward. But for many, this moment is now stamped into her career arc. Hartley, meanwhile, has her reputation further complicated, with her intensity celebrated by some and condemned by others. But the bigger legacy might be what it revealed about the WNBA as a whole. Fans are hungry. They want storylines, they want debates, and yes, they want drama. That's part of what fuels major sports leagues, the blend of competition and controversy. And here, the WNBA got exactly that, but struggled with how to handle it. If the league learns from this, it could actually turn into a positive. Imagine a WNBA that steps up with transparency, with referees explaining controversial calls in real time, with social media teams leaning into debates rather than shying away. That's how you turn a viral moment into long-term growth. But if it doesn't, then moments like this risk overshadowing the brilliance of the game itself. And that would be a loss not just for Cunningham or Hartley, but for the entire league. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just a foul. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that the WNBA is no longer in the shadows, and with the spotlight comes responsibility. The only question now is, what will they do next time the world is watching?